On the morning of October 25th, 1415, the crisp air of northern France carried the tension of an impending clash. King Henry V of England stood resolutely on the fields of Agincourt, his army of weary but determined soldiers bracing for the challenge ahead. Though vastly outnumbered by the French forces, the English troops drew strength from their king's unwavering leadership and strategic genius. Henry's orders cut through the morning stillness as his men prepared for battle. Weapons were readied, positions taken, and the famed longbowmen, England's elite archers, waited in tense silence. Across the field, the thunder of approaching hooves signaled the charge of the French cavalry. The ground trembled as the sound grew louder, a harbinger of chaos. The English longbowmen, calm and focused, raised their bows and drew the strings taut, eyes locked on the advancing enemy. The battle unfolded against a backdrop of a broader, bloodier conflict. England, embroiled in the 100 Years' War, had seen decades of intermittent fighting with France. This period of turmoil was exacerbated by political strife at home. The Lancastrian dynasty, having claimed the throne, faced persistent rebellions that challenged their rule. It was through relentless campaigns by Henry IV and his son that these threats were subdued, paving the way for the young prince to ascend the throne in 1413. Henry V inherited a fractured kingdom and a tenuous claim to power. His coronation, held during a fierce snowstorm on April 9th, 1413, was seen by some as a portent of doom, while others interpreted it as a sign of divine favor. As a ruler, Henry faced distrust and conspiracy, but quickly demonstrated his capability, surrounding himself with loyal advisors and enforcing justice across his realm. Henry V inherited a fractured kingdom and a tenuous claim to power. His coronation, held during a fierce snowstorm on April 9th, 1413, was seen by some as a portent of doom, while others interpreted it as a sign of divine favor. As a ruler, Henry faced distrust and conspiracy, but quickly demonstrated his capability, surrounding himself with loyal advisors and enforcing justice across his realm. Despite domestic challenges, Henry's gaze was fixed firmly on France. His ambition burned brightly, fueled by a desire to reclaim lands and titles he believed were rightfully English. The fragile truce with France was crumbling, and by late 1414, Henry sent a grand delegation to Paris to negotiate. His demands, including the reinstatement of the Treaty of Bretigny and the return of lost territories like Aquitaine and Ponthieu, were dismissed as outrageous. With diplomacy failing, Henry prepared for war. By August 1415, England had mustered its largest army since Crécy. Approximately 12,000 troops, including a significant contingent of archers, set sail from Southampton on over 700 ships. After foiling a plot against him, Henry led his forces to their first objective, the fortified port of Harfleur. The siege, though successful, proved costly. Dysentery ravaged the English army, claiming the lives of a third of their men. The victory at Harfleur left Henry with hard decisions. His army, weakened and sickly, could not press towards Paris. Instead, he opted for a bold march towards Calais. Defying advice, he sought to assert his claim over northern France, but French forces under Charles d'Albret swiftly moved to block his path. The English army endured a grueling trek, navigating flooded rivers, hostile terrain, and dwindling supplies. The French, confident in their numerical superiority, cornered Henry near the village of Agincourt. The English, though tired, rallied under their king's inspiring leadership. On the eve of battle, Henry enforced silence across his camp, ensuring vigilance. Heavy rain turned the fields into a quagmire, but the king's presence bolstered morale. At dawn, the French began deploying their troops. Meanwhile, the English had already formed their defensive line. Henry positioned his dismounted men-at-arms at the center, flanked by longbowmen who had planted sharpened stakes in the ground to thwart cavalry charges. The French, with their vast numbers, arranged into 3 divisions, confident of victory. Outnumbered 3-1, the English faced dire odds. The French hesitated, contemplating a war of attrition, but Henry, recognizing the urgency, took the initiative. With a rallying cry of "Saint George," he ordered his troops forward. Drums thundered as the English advanced across the muddy field. Then, as they neared the enemy's range, Henry abruptly halted his men. The longbowmen repositioned their stakes and unleashed a storm of arrows. The French cavalry charged, but the muddy terrain and relentless arrow fire shattered their ranks. Horses panicked, colliding with infantry and causing chaos in the French lines. Despite their numbers, the French struggled to maintain order. Exhausted by the muddy advance and disoriented by the English assault, they faced a disciplined and determined foe. The ensuing melee was brutal. The French men-at-arms, adhering to the chivalric code, sought one-on-one combat, but were overwhelmed. The English archers, wielding daggers and mallets, joined the fray, exploiting the vulnerability of the heavily armored French knights. By the day's end, the once confident French army lay decimated, and Henry V emerged victorious, his name etched into history as a military genius and a symbol of English resilience.